What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. So for my first ever Halloween video, I'm going to be doing this Beetlejuice look. I did a Beetlejuice look last year. A whole bunch of you guys asked for a tutorial on it and I never did. So this year I did it and I decided to just kick it up a notch too. I did a whole bunch of like special effects. This stuff's all super cool. But I really hope that I explained it well enough so you guys can follow along because I really want to see you guys all try and recreate this. But what's also super special about this video is that it is done in partnership with Imats Vancouver, which is going to be here in less than 3 weeks. It's on October 20th and 21st. They were kind enough to supply me with tickets, so I'm going to be there. And what they also did, which is super cool, is give me a discount code to share with you guys, so you guys will get a discount on tickets. So you really don't have an excuse not to go, like you just gotta. On top of that, it's super fun that a whole bunch of the products that I'm using in this video are going to be available at Imats as well. All of their suppliers are going to have booths. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so stoked. But for the time being, I hope you guys enjoy this video and yeah, let's get into it. Right, so to kick things off, I've already done my face makeup. I used the whitest of white foundations that I own. I did mix in a little bit of the white from my Makeup Forever Flash palette, this little guy right here. But I was using the L'Oreal Paris Infallible Pro Matte 24-hour lasting foundation. And I just did that all over my face and my chest, which is kind of a bummer because I just self-tanned the other day, so now I'm pale again. Oh well. So I did that and I just set it. I didn't bother with doing like concealer or anything because we're going to be doing really dark makeup around the eyes anyways. But I went ahead and did my brows and then just like some super light contouring, just really basic because we're going to be covering up a lot of it anyways. But yeah, that's about it. Just put on like a really light base of kind of my normal makeup. So the first step that we're going to be doing as far as the actual Beetlejuice makeup goes is all of the kind of slime and gross, like it almost looks like moss kind of that he has like growing on him. As you can see, I have it on my hand. I was just doing some little tests of what I want to look like. So what I did was just using this plain old Kryolan clear liquid latex. I went and applied a base layer of that just with a little stipple sponge, just a plain makeup sponge that I just ripped up. Applied some latex to my hand. I've got some cotton pads that I've shredded into like really fine little like wispies like this. So just went ahead and stuck that on there and then cover that up with another layer of latex and then just powdered over it. Normally I would have done this before I did my foundation, but I didn't really think of it until afterwards, so we're gonna do it on top and hope for the best. And then we're gonna go ahead and paint that green, as you can see. But yeah, with that cotton and latex on there, you get this really nice kind of like lumpy texture to it. I think it's gonna look really cool. So I'm gonna start by doing that. I'll just kind of fast forward through it, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first ones I'm gonna do some kind of up around my forehead and I think like down on like my jawline. He always has a bunch like around his mouth. And then some kind of on my collarbones and neck as well, but it's kind of up to you how much or how little of it you want to do. I'm not going to do a ton because I am going to be adding in some other details with some just eyeshadows and stuff later. But yeah, we can just watch this for now. So I'll walk you through the first kind of little application and then I'll just kind of skip through the rest of it because there's no point in you guys watching me repeat it like 10 times. So we'll just give it a go. All right, so to start off, I'm gonna just take my little cup of latex and this little sponge and we're just gonna dab some of that in there. I'm gonna start with this up by my hairline, which is an oof. Don't want to get that latex in your hair, but be careful with that. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. It's like easy enough to get out of like just your little baby hairs, but like if you get it fully in your hair, that is a nightmare. So don't do that. But we're gonna get this little fluff on here. Yeah, and it's okay if it doesn't entirely stick down to the first layer of latex because once you put the other latex on top of it, it totally sticks that down. So I'm gonna do my second layer of latex over top of the cotton now. You can be pretty generous if you don't want it like dripping down your face, but you do want it enough to saturate the cotton pretty well. Yeah. So don't be afraid to stipple the latex a little bit further out around the cotton too, so it kind of helps fade out the texture because the latex itself has its own texture. So it's just like a little bit less extreme than the texture of the latex with the cotton. So it helps that kind of transition into it. So we're just gonna let that dry for a second. You can blow dry it in between, that helps a lot, especially because once the cotton gets saturated with the latex, it takes quite a while to dry. So you can do that, or just go ahead and work on some of the other ones on your face and then dry them all at the end, which I think is what I'm gonna do. So we'll let this one sit while I do some of the other ones, and then I'll probably give them all a quick blow dry at the very end. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of speed through the next ones and you guys can see some clips here and there. So let's do it. Okay, so now that we're all blow dried, this is all dry. As you can see, some of them still have like, there's a lot of color in these guys. That's because the layers of latex underneath didn't fully dry. The top layer is completely dry, but there's kind of little pockets of where some latex got trapped and didn't dry. It's kind of hard to avoid with this like technique with the cotton and everything. But that's okay because you can still just go over it with foundation and then powder it, and it's all good. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go over it with a little bit of foundation, and then I just have this little stipple brush just because there's so much texture. This will help really get into there. It's not the end of the world if you don't cover up all the color because you're gonna be painting the whole thing green anyways. This just helps cancel out that color just a little bit more. Alright, so with that all kind of blended in, we're just going to go ahead and set that really, really well with some setting powder. I'm just going to be using my RCMA No Color powder. So yeah, just grab a fluffy brush and set that. This just really helps because it's really important that you're working with all the same sort of texture of finish, like the top of it. Because if you're going from having your face really matte and powdered and then having this part that's kind of tacky from the foundation and everything, the colors aren't going to stick to it the same, which then can make it really difficult to blend some stuff out. So that's that. Also, I'm aware that I'm now talking out of the corner of my mouth because the latex made this side of my mouth really tight and I don't want to split it, so. Alright, we are all set. Okay, so next step is some color. So I'm going to be going in first with my Suva Beauty Hydra Liner. This is one of their UV ones. This is in Fanny Pack. I mean, I don't have like a UV light, like a black light, but you know, it's still cool. It still shows up really, really vibrant. So I'm going to be using that. This is just like a little water activated liner. It stays on super well. But yeah, all you have to do is add a bit of water to it. I'm just going to be using like a little fluffy eyeshadow brush just because that just helps blend it out a lot better. And we're going to keep that focused more to kind of the center of each little portion of moss, just because it's a little bit more difficult to blend out really smoothly. It's not really intended to do that. Like, it's not like a cream base, you know? So I'm going to be using that for the really vibrant color in the middle, and then I'm going to be using the green, this guy here, from the Flash palette, the Make It Forever Flash palette. This is the, I don't know what color that is. Oh, I'm so lost. Leaf green. There it is. So we're going to be using some leaf green, which I've just scraped a little bit out onto this same little palette. And I'm just going to be using a different little fluffy eyeshadow brush to blend that out. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the Suva Beauty Hydra Liner in Fanny Pack and this little eyeshadow brush. And just going to be kind of stippling and moving the brush in like a circular motion because you really want to make sure that you get into all of the little ridges of the latex and the bumps from the cotton and everything. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, one other quick thing, just make sure that your brush isn't too wet from the Hydra Liner because obviously the water is not going to absorb onto the, into the latex, so it can bead up and drip. So just make sure that you have product, but you don't want your brush like totally saturated. So definitely like squeeze some of it off, even just like, yeah, I'm just using the lid onto the side of it so that the product's not going to be running down your face. Right, so if you do want to kind of try and just work with the hydro liner alone, you can do it, it's totally feasible. So just take, I'm just gonna use the same brush, but just don't take any more product, just take a little bit of water on the brush and just really work that out on the edges, and that will really help blend it out quite a lot. But again, don't use too much water because you're gonna either remove the product or it'll be dripping down your face and you just don't want any of that. So just dampen your brush a little bit. As much as I can blend this out, I still am going to use the other product as well, just to get kind of those different depths of color and everything, because the other green's a little bit darker. See, you can see here I had a little bit too much water, so it didn't really, the color didn't take to the latex, it just kind of lifted it. So I'm just going to go back in with a little bit heavier pigment and less water. Right, so I think that's all I'm gonna do for the super vibrant green. I will go through again afterwards and just like at the very end and see, like once I've got the eye makeup on, if I want any more of it to be a little bit more intense or anything. So for the time being, I'm gonna just switch over to that Flash palette, that darker green. So I'm just gonna take that, yeah, similar little fluffy eyeshadow brush and use a similar technique, that kind of dabbing, stippling, like little circular motions. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of work that darker green in through there. Right, so I think for the moment, that's all I'm gonna do with the green. We're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna go ahead and start on my eyes. Right, so for my eyes, I'm gonna be using quite a few different palettes. I have my Morphe 35B, my Morphe 35C, and then my single shadows from Coastal Scents, this big guy here. And I might be using my Tartelette palette as well. So a whole bunch of different stuff, but honestly, anything that you have that's just like dark purples, you'll be totally fine. It's not an exact science. I am gonna go in first just to give a little bit of a darker base to start with my Ben Nye effects wheel. This is their Master Bruise wheel. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this purple. This one ends up looking a little bit more fuchsia. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this really dark one down here as well, just to get that really dark base to start off of. I'm gonna apply that base just with my Morphe E22, just any big fluffy brush. I'm not gonna do it too heavy because I don't want it, this looks so funny. I'm not gonna do it too heavy because I don't want it to crease, but just enough to get a solid base. Right, so the original character from Beetlejuice has the purple in a very distinct round shape around his eyes, like very defined around the edges. I'm gonna blow it out a little bit more, make it a little bit softer, and hopefully a little bit more flattering. Because I mean, not that any of this is the cutest, but you know, you can still try, right? So I'm gonna take it in, I'm gonna take the purple in basically up to my nose, and straight up to my eyebrows, and then out quite far as well. Great, so that's all I'm going to do for the cream base. I can pretty much accomplish everything else with the eyeshadow. This actually just makes it a little bit easier. I won't have to darken it up quite as much as I would have just from a plain, clean base. So I'm going to go in with, I think this guy here. So it's pretty dark, but this is in the 35B palette. It's dark, but it's not the darkest purple. So it's that kind of more vibrant one. There's not really any, this isn't any particular eyeshadow. It's kind of like a really, really big halo eye. So I'm gonna have kind of a lighter, I'm gonna put a little bit of a shimmer, or I might even just do some gloss on my lids, just in the center. And then you just want it really, really dark in the inner corner and just like really heavy contoured all through your eye socket essentially. But yeah, I'm just gonna go to town with that purple. I'm just gonna switch to that really deep purple right beside it, and just keep building that. So yeah, overall you just want a really, really, really deep purple on the eyes. There are a couple spots that I do want pretty much black. There's this black shade here, or there's this really dark navy blue one right below it. that I think I might use just in this kind of inner corner and then in the outer corner and a little bit on the bottom. But it's up to you what you want to do. I don't personally like the super round look, so I'm just gonna kind of have mine blown out a little bit further. But yeah, I guess just keep watching. I'm just gonna switch to a slightly smaller brush. This guy's just kind of a little flat shader brush just to define some of the really dark purple and black under my eyes a little bit more. Yeah. Right, so that's it for the really deep shading that we're gonna do with the eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of a highlight on the lids. As you can see, I left it just a little bit lighter. I just have this one shimmery purple shade from Coastal Scents, but I'm just gonna use my finger and just pat a little bit of that on there. You don't have to do this part, but I just thought it'd be cute. I'm just gonna blend that black eyeliner out a little bit with this little flat brush. Right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do some light mascara because I'm gonna be putting some falsies on anyways, but just to darken up my lashes a little bit. I've just been using this Colossal Spider Effect Maybelline mascara. This is a super old one, but I've been trying to go through a bunch of my mascaras that I haven't touched in forever, so we're gonna do that. Great, so for my lashes, I'm gonna take my Cocoa Lashes in Venus. I'm just gonna throw those on, be right back. Right, so I've got my lashes on. Because these were a bit of an older pair, I just went ahead and threw some mascara on them as well, just to make them look a little bit kind of messier. So that's that. Honestly, you could just leave the look at this. I do like it. I'm gonna do a little bit more kind of green and maybe some purple like on my lips, just to make it look a little bit messier and grosser. I'm also gonna just take my alcohol palettes and just splatter some kind of faint like yellow and green tones across my skin just to kind of break up the solid white that we have going on and make it just a little bit more of a kind of cohesive look. And I'm also gonna darken up some of the green a little bit just by adding in a little bit of kind of black and brown, but I'll show you all that in the next couple minutes. So on my lips, I'm just gonna take, I have a little bit of that purple left over, like the cream base I did on my eyes. I'm just gonna take this brush and just kind of, because I foundationed over my lips, they're all nice and liney, so I'm hoping the purple will just kind of settle into those and just have that faint sort of shading in the lips. Right, so I'm gonna go over some of that green with some little darker tones real quick. Just a mix from this Flash palette. I'm just gonna be taking a bit more of that deep green, some black and some brown, just to add a little bit more depth and texture into them. Right, so for that added kind of depth into the skin tone, I'm going to be using, both of my effects palettes. They are a disgusting mess right now, I really need to clean them. But I have the Skin Illustrator, this one, and the effects palette as well. So yeah, I'm just going to take some sort of like some mixes of, that is a white, if you believe me or not. Some of the white and like the yellow and the green. There's also the, what is this one? Vein tone somewhere in here, this one, this kind of deeper blue color, and yeah, we're just gonna splatter that. So this is just a chopped off chip brush, so we're just gonna activate that with some 99% alcohol and just be spraying that. If you guys have seen my freckle tutorial that I posted almost a year ago, that one shows essentially the same technique of just wetting the brush and splattering that on. So that's what I'm going to do all across my chest and face. I'm going to find my cape and put that over my shirt so that I don't get covered in splatters. But yeah, that's a great look. So yeah, I'm just going to take some of my 99% alcohol and my chip brush and just going to start splattering. I don't want any super dark defined colors, but just layering and layering of lots of different kind of variations on the same tones. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Pro tip, don't get it in your eyes, don't breathe it in. Not really a pro tip, it's kind of just common sense. It's kind of hard to avoid when you're splattering your entire face, but you know, do your best. Right, So that's it for the skin texture there. Another tip is if you are doing the alcohol, which it's not usually something that everybody has on hand, but if you do happen to have an alcohol palette and you do choose to do this technique, you can put your eyelashes on afterwards because this is most likely to make your eyes water. So you don't want to water your lashes off. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go do my hair and I will be right back. Alright, so I ran out of green hairspray about halfway through doing my hair, so this is just gonna have to do right now. But that's the completed look. I'm super stoked with how this came out. I had done this look last year, if you guys have been following me for that long, and I definitely stuck to more of the kind of glam look with that one. This one I definitely wanted to go a little bit more effects like. But yeah, that's it. Alright, that is it for today's video. Again, this video was done in partnership with Imats Vancouver, which is going to be October 20th and 21st, so I really hope to see you guys there. I'm going to be there. Imats were kind enough to supply me with tickets, so I will be there, and I do have a discount code for you guys as well, which I'll put in the description as well as on my Instagram post. That'll get you guys a discount on tickets for Imats, so you really don't have an excuse not to be there. On top of that, a whole bunch of the brands that I used in this video are going to have booths at Imats as well, so you guys can go get all kinds of goodies. There's so many presentations and things to see. It's going to be such a fun time. I'm super stoked to be going. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys all have a fantastic Halloween because I feel like I'm probably not going to film another Halloween video before the end of the month because I'm just a mess, but I did have a lot of fun with this one and I hope you guys are able to take some inspiration from it or, you know, just do the whole thing exactly as I did. That's awesome too. Alright, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.